Hello students, welcome back to my online lecture series. So in today's class, we are going to understand the concept of operon. So in this particular lecture, I'll give you some basic tips and help you to understand what exactly is an operon, what are the different types of operon, and with this operon, how are your genes regulated and expressed at the transcriptional level. So let us begin with today's class by understanding the basic definition of an operon. What exactly is an operon? It is said to be a unit of gene expression. Gene expression means when a gene is getting expressed means its protein product is getting produced. So when I say that, for example, a hemoglobin gene is expressed, it means that in your body, the hemoglobin protein is getting produced. Okay, so an operon is said to be one such unit of gene expression. Now, what does an operon constitute of? An operon, it consists of several transcriptional units, and within these transcriptional units, you'll have multiple genes that have related functions. So functionally related genes are together present in an operon. All these genes are now said to be regulated together within an operon. And how are they regulated together? All these genes, they are under control of common regulatory elements, which you've already studied, like your promoters and operators, enhancers. So promoters, operators, and enhancers, all these, they help you to regulate the functioning of an operon. So the first model of an operon was proposed by two scientists, namely Jacob and Monod, within your organism E. coli. So within E. coli, the first model of an operon was proposed, and that was of lactose operon. So Jacob and Monod proposed that lactose operon in E. coli was said to be an inducible operon. Now what you mean by an inducible operon is that lactose operon is going to function, it is going to express, the genes of the lactose operon are going to express only and only when the lactose is present in the growth medium. So if lactose is present in the medium, remember, only that time the lactose operon will be switched on. Otherwise, the lactose operon will not function. It will be always in the switch off state. So now let us understand the structure of this lactose operon. So within the lactose operon, remember, you have three structural genes. These three structural genes, they play a very important role in lactose operon. How? These structural genes, when they are expressed in presence of lactose, these genes, they are going to produce three important enzymes. So three genes will produce three important enzymes. These enzymes, they are going to play a very important role in the uptake of lactose by the E. coli cells. So how are the E. coli cells going to grow on lactose medium? By expressing these three structural genes. So once these three structural genes are expressed, their corresponding enzymes will be produced, and these enzymes will help in the metabolism or uptake of lactose by the E. coli cells. Okay, so let us understand the structure of the lactose operon. So here in this diagram, you see the organization of lac operon, and my structural loci over here is showing three structural genes. Structural gene lac Z, lac Y, and lac A. So let us understand what exactly are structural genes. So structural genes, there are one to several such structural genes present in an operon, and all these structural genes, they are basically responsible for expressing their enzymes that are involved in one or more specific metabolic pathways. So all these structural genes, they are going to encode for some or the other important enzymes that will play an important role in your metabolic pathways. And remember that all these structural genes within the operon, they will be transcribed together at one particular time. So my structural genes Z, Y, and A, all these three will be expressed together because they will be transcribed together as one particular unit. So let us understand the role of each particular structural gene. So the first one is your lac Z gene, which you can see over here. So the lac Z gene, it encodes for an intracellular enzyme. This enzyme is known as beta-galactosidase. So the beta galactosidase enzyme, the role of this particular enzyme is that it is going to hydrolyze your lactose in the growth medium into your glucose and galactose. So your disaccharide lactose will be broken down into two monosaccharides, glucose and galactose, by means of the enzyme beta galactosidase. So this beta galactosidase will be encoded by LAC-Z. Now my next structural gene is LAC-Y over here. So LAC-Y gene encodes for another enzyme called as the permease enzyme. Now what is the role of this permease enzyme is that it is needed for the entry of lactose inside the cell. So if my E. coli cell is there which is growing in the lactose will never able to enter inside the E. coli cell. With the help of permease enzyme, the lactose will get entry into the E. coli cell. So the permease enzyme is why essential. Now my third structural enzyme is the structural gene, is the LAC-A gene. Now this LAC-A gene, it encodes for the third enzyme which is called as the trans-acetylase enzyme. So this trans-acetylase enzyme, you also call it as the acetyltransferase enzyme. Now why you call it as an acetyltransferase enzyme? Because it is responsible for the transfer of an acetyl group from acetyl-CoA to beta galactoside. So again, that is a very important step in the metabolism of lactose. So these three structural genes are playing very important role in the metabolism of lactose. Now let us understand the regulatory loci or the regulatory genes. So in my previous slides, I told you that the regulatory genes, they are going to play an important role in the regulation of the lac operon as to when the lac operon should be on, when should the lac operon be off. So that role will be played by my regulatory genes. So let us understand what all are the regulatory genes present in the lac operon. So the first regulatory gene over here is LAC-P. The LAC-P over here denoted in a red color as P-LAC. So LAC-P, where the P stands for the promoter gene. So now you already know what is the promoter gene responsible for. So the promoter gene is basically a site where the RNA polymerase is going to bind and it is going to initiate the process of transcription by transcribing my structural genes. So my RNA polymerase is going to bind to the promoter and it is going to begin with the transcription of my structural genes. My next regulatory gene is the LAC-I gene over here denoted as LAC-I. So this LAC-I gene is another regulatory gene which is going to encode for few repressor proteins. And these repressor proteins are called as the LAC repressor proteins. So what do you mean by repressor proteins is that they are going to switch off your lac operon. These repressor proteins will not allow your structural genes to get expressed. So how are these genes going to function, or how are these proteins going to function, we'll understand ahead. Then the third structural gene. So before that, I have to also mention that this gene, that is the LAC-I gene, it is separately transcribed by its own promoter. So it has its own promoter represented as PI. So the promoter for your structural genes is over here, LAC-P, while the promoter for your regulatory gene is over here, the LAC-PI. So there are separate promoters for each of these genes. So from this we can understand that your regulatory gene I is going to be transcribed separately because it has its own promoter represented as PI. And the third and the last regulatory gene that we have, which is again a very important gene, is your LAC-O. So LAC-O is the operator gene of the operon. So it is the site where my repressor proteins are going to come and bind. So the repressor proteins that are encoded by the regulator gene, these repressor proteins will come and bind to the operator gene. So this operator is going to act as a site where my repressor proteins are going to bind. So now once you have understood all the regulatory elements and all the structural elements, let us understand how my lac operon will be regulated. So before you move on to the regulation of lac operon, one thing that you always have to remember while studying lac operon is that lac operon is said to be an inducible operon, which means that when lactose is present in the growth medium, the lac operon will be switched on. However, when lactose is absent in the growth medium, the lac operon will be switched off. So remember these two things. Inducible operon means lactose is going to act as an inducer. When lactose is present, lac operon will be switched on. When lactose is absent, lac operon will be switched off. So once you've understood this key point, let us begin with the regulation of lactose operon. So first, let us understand negative control of lac operon. Now, what you mean by negative control of lac operon is that how to switch off the lac operon. Negative control means switching off of the lac operon. So this negative control is also called as the enzyme repression mechanism. Okay, so now when we already know that now when is the lac operon going to be switched off? We know that in the absence of lac operon, the lactose operon is going to be switched off. So in the absence of lac operon, what is going to happen is that here my regulatory gene I is going to get transcribed. So this lac I gene is going to get transcribed and is going to form my repressor mRNA. Further, this repressor mRNA is going to get translated to produce my repressor proteins. So now the function of the regulatory gene has been accomplished. So the regulatory gene LAC-I is going to produce my repressor proteins. Now these repressor proteins, in the absence of lactose, they are going to go and bind to their binding site, which is the operator gene, which is the LAC-O. So the LAC-O, which is serving as a binding site for the repressor proteins, the repressor proteins are going to come and bind to the LAC-O site. Now, once the repressor proteins are bound over here, the operator site has been blocked by the repressor proteins. So even if my RNA polymerase comes and binds to the promoter region, it will not be able to move ahead because the path of RNA polymerase is blocked by these repressor proteins. Therefore, RNA polymerase will no longer be able to transcribe these structural genes. And therefore, we can say that the lactose operon is switched off because the transcription of these structural genes is not allowed. So the gist is that in the absence of lactose in the growth medium, the repressor proteins come and bind to the operator and my structural genes will not be expressed, which means that lactose operon is switched off. Hope that is clear. Now let us understand the other part of it, which is the positive control of the lac operon. Now positive control of lac operon, which means that the lac operon has to be switched on. So now you also know that how the lac operon is going to be switched on only when lactose is present in the growth medium. So over here, when lactose is present in the medium, it itself acts as an inducer. Okay, so now when lactose is present in the growth medium, a few lactose molecules are able to enter inside the E. coli cells because these enzymes that are encoded by the structural genes, they are present in very less amount. So because of this negligible amount of enzymes already present in the E. coli cells, they are going to allow only a few lactose molecules to enter inside. So these lactose molecules, few lactose molecules, they enter inside and they begin with their metabolism. So these lactose molecules, they begin to get metabolized, and during this pathway of metabolism of lactose, an isomer of lactose is produced, which is called as an allolactose. So within the pathway of lactose metabolism, an isomer of lactose is produced in between, which is called as an allolactose. And this allolactose plays a very important role because here it is going to act as an inducer. So here this yellow colored oval thing is called as your inducer, which is your allolactose. Now this allolactose has the ability to bind to your repressor proteins. Now once the allolactose binds to your repressor proteins, my repressor proteins will be immediately inactivated. And therefore the function of these repressor proteins will not be served. And therefore these repressor proteins are going to see a change in their conformation. So once the inducer binds to the repressor proteins, the conformation of the repressor protein changes. So we already know that once the 3D conformation of any protein changes, the function of that protein is lost. So now these repressor proteins with the changed conformation can no longer occupy the promoter operator region. So these cannot bind to the operator region. And therefore, these repressor proteins are said to be inactivated and the operator site is no longer blocked. So now, when my RNA polymerase is going to come and bind to the promoter region, it is the pathway of the RNA polymerase is free, and this RNA polymerase can now freely transcribe all my 3 structural genes, LAC-Z, LAC-Y, and LAC-A. Therefore, my LAC mRNA will be produced upon transcription, and this LAC mRNA will, when it will get translated, it is going to produce my 3 enzymes, beta-galactosidase, pyrimidase, and transacetylase. And further, when these enzymes are produced in large amount, more number of lactose molecules can be taken inside the E. coli cells. And that is why we can say that the lactose operon is switched on only when lactose is present in the medium as an inducer in the form of allolactose. So this is known as the positive control of lac operon, or you can also call it as the enzyme induction mechanism, where all my enzymes are getting produced. Now, you also have, in some of the textbooks, it is also mentioned that there is another third way of regulation, which is called as the catabolite repression mechanism. So with the help of this catabolite repression mechanism, you can see higher levels of transcription in the lac operon. So now let us see how catabolite repression mechanism works. Now in this catabolite repression mechanism, here you see that there is another binding site that is present before the promoter. So this very important binding site present just before the promoter region is called as the cap binding site. It is present immediately before the promoter. Now what is the role of this cap binding site is that this cap binding site always has to be occupied by 2 components. The first component is called as the catabolite activator protein, called as abbreviated as the cap protein. And this cap protein is always found to be in complex with another molecule called as the cyclic AMP. You can abbreviate it as CAMP. So the complex of cap and cyclic AMP together occupies the cap binding site. And once this cap binding site is occupied, it increases the efficiency of RNA polymerase to bind to the promoter region. So with this increased efficiency of RNA polymerase, higher levels of transcription are achieved. So along with positive regulation of lac operon, if this cap site is occupied, then you can achieve higher levels of transcription. However, now, if cyclic AMP is absent, so in the case where the levels of cyclic AMP are less, the cap is said to be inactivated. So cap can no longer bind to the cap site if cyclic AMP is not available. So when the condition is that cyclic AMP is less, the cap will no longer bind to the cap binding site. Now, when is the case when cyclic AMP will be less? It is known that cyclic AMP is highly sensitive to glucose. So now, if glucose is also present in the medium along with lactose, the levels of cyclic AMP are going to drastically reduce. So in such reduced levels of cyclic AMP, the cap will no longer bind to the cap binding site. So therefore, no cyclic AMP and cap complex is formed when glucose is present, and therefore the cap binding site is no longer occupied. And in such cases, the levels of transcription are quite low. So therefore, we can also mention that lac operon is said to be a glucose sensitive operon, meaning that in presence of glucose, the levels of transcription are slightly lesser. So an overall summary of lac operon, we see that here we have the lactose, the other column is the repressor binding to operator, glucose, and in presence of glucose, what happens to the cyclic AMP and cap. So the first case is that when lactose is present in the growth medium, repressors, they no longer bind to the operator. However, if glucose is also present in the growth medium, cyclic AMP and cap complex do not bind to the cap site. And therefore, the levels of transcription are low, keeping into consideration that lactose is still present in the medium. Then we go to case number 2, that lactose is now present in the growth medium. Therefore, repressors are definitely not going to bind to the operator region. And the other scenario is that glucose is also absent in the growth medium. So if glucose is absent in the medium, again your cyclic AMP and cap are definitely going to bind to the cap site. And therefore lactose is also present, and the second component cyclic AMP and cap are also present bound to their site. And therefore higher levels of transcription will be achieved. Let us understand the third scenario where lactose is now absent in the growth medium, but glucose is present. So immediately we can say that if lactose is absent in the growth medium, lactose operon will no longer function. We need not to look at the other cases only. Lactose is absent, lactose operon will be switched off, and therefore there will be no transcription of structural genes, irrespective whether glucose is present or absent. And the last fourth case, where again lactose is also absent in the growth medium along with glucose is also absent in the growth medium. So definitely transcription is not going to take place. So that is the summary of my lac operon. So hope you all have understood the summary of lac operon and how lac operon is regulated. Now once we have understood lactose operon, now let us go to another type of operon which is also very essential and you need to study it because it's a part of syllabus. That is your tryptophan operon. So now this tryptophan operon, again in this operon here also you have a series of structural genes. So here you have 5 structural genes, and when these structural genes will be expressed, they are going to produce enzymes, but this time these enzymes will be required in the biosynthesis of the amino acid tryptophan. So within the tryptophan operon, the tryptophan genes, the genes will be encoded, and these genes, they are going to help in the synthesis of tryptophan itself. So tryptophan operon will be switched on, the genes will be expressed, and they will help in the further synthesis of tryptophan itself. Okay, so now the tryptophan operon, it consists of 5 structural genes. You can see tryptophan E, D, C, B, and A. And all these structural genes, they are under control of the regulatory loci. So this regulatory loci consists of the promoter, which is abbreviated as tryptophan P, promoter, tryptophan O, that is the operator. You have also additional 2 regulatory elements like the leader sequence and the attenuator sequence. And you have the regulatory gene over here, which is represented as the tryptophan R. Just like you had the LAC-I gene as the regulatory gene in lactose operon, here you have the tryptophan R, TRPR, which is the regulatory gene. So now this regulatory gene here plays an important role again in producing the same repressor genes. So it is, same repressor proteins. So these repressor proteins, however, they are said to be in their inactive state. So these repressor proteins are in their inactive state. In such an inactive state, the repressor proteins cannot bind to the operator region. So by default, the tryptophan R gene is going to get expressed and it is going to produce inactive repressor proteins. These inactive repressor proteins cannot bind to the operator. Okay, so now let us understand the regulation of the tryptophan operon once we have understood that the structure of the tryptophan operon. So here also now remember one particular thing. Tryptophan operon is a type of repressible operon. Unlike your lac operon. Lac operon we studied was an inducible operon. Tryptophan operon on the other side is a type of repressible operon. Now what do you mean by a repressible operon? So it means that when tryptophan is present in the medium, when tryptophan is already there, the tryptophan operon has to be switched off. The genes that are going to encode for the enzymes required for tryptophan biosynthesis, they will not be expressed because they are actually not required at that particular time, because tryptophan is already present in the growth medium. So if tryptophan is already present, the tryptophan operon will be switched off. And the other case, when tryptophan is absent, it means that the cells now require tryptophan. There is a deficiency of tryptophan and therefore tryptophan has to be synthesized. So for synthesizing tryptophan, the tryptophan operon will be switched on all the five structural genes will get expressed, and all the 5 enzymes will be produced that are going to help in the biosynthesis of tryptophan. So remember, tryptophan operon is a repressible operon. It is going to function only and only when tryptophan is present in the growth medium. So this is exactly contradictory to your lac operon. So let us understand the regulation of tryptophan operon just like the way we did for lac operon. So first, let us see positive control of tryptophan operon. So positive control means the tryptophan operon has to be switched on. Now we already know when will the tryptophan operon be switched on? Only and only when tryptophan is absent in the medium. So when there is a deficiency of tryptophan and when there is a dire need of tryptophan, at that particular time the tryptophan operon has to be switched on. So now what is going to happen? So in presence, so the time when tryptophan is absent, the tryptophan R, that is a regulatory gene R, is going to produce my regulatory mRNA. So this is the regulatory mRNA that is produced with the 5' cap and the 3' poly A tail. So this regulatory mRNA is further going to get translated and it is going to produce my repressor proteins. Mind you that these repressor proteins are always by default in their inactive state. So such repressor proteins, they therefore cannot bind to the operator region. So operator site remains empty. They cannot, inactive repressors cannot bind to the tryptophan operator region, TRPO. So this site remains vacant. Therefore, when RNA polymerase binds to the promoter, the pathway is completely clear. There is no particular blockage in the pathway, and RNA polymerase can easily swift on the structural genes by easily transcribing them. So all my 5 structural genes E, D, C, B, A will get transcribed. Upon transcription, the mRNA is going to get produced. So this is a type of polycistronic mRNA which contains the information of all 5 structural genes together. Now further, this polycistronic mRNA is further going to get translated, and individually it is going to produce all my 5 enzymes. So enzyme E, D, C, B and A. All these 5 enzymes are produced, and these enzymes are together going to contribute for tryptophan biosynthesis, and ultimately tryptophan will be produced. So all the enzymes that are required for the synthesis of tryptophan will be produced when tryptophan operon is switched on. So this is how the positive control of tryptophan operon works, which means that the tryptophan operon is switched on. Now let us understand the negative control, how the tryptophan operon is switched off. Now we all already remember that when is the tryptophan operon going to be switched off? Only and only when there is sufficient amount of tryptophan already present in your body, in the cell. So if sufficient amount of tryptophan is present, no further requirement of tryptophan is there, and therefore the synthesis of tryptophan has to be cut down. No tryptophan has to be further synthesized. So now what is going to happen in that case? So if tryptophan is present in the growth medium, this tryptophan acts as a co-repressor. Remember, it's a very important thing that tryptophan over here is acting as a co-repressor. So along with your repressor proteins, the tryptophan itself is acting as a repressor. That's why you call it as a co-repressor. So these inactive proteins are present which are going to bind to these tryptophan co-repressor molecules. So once the tryptophan co-repressor binds to the inactive repressors, in turn it activates the repressor proteins. So over here, the activated repressor proteins are now capable of binding to the operator region. So these are my active repressors, and they are capable of binding to the operator region, which I had shown here. So the operator region is now occupied by the inactive repressors, active ones which are activated by your tryptophan co-repressor. And therefore, the pathway of RNA polymerase is blocked. Over here, you can see that the pathway is blocked, and RNA polymerase can no longer transcribe my structural genes. And therefore, the tryptophan operon is switched off. So this is actually a sort of feedback inhibition of tryptophan operon. Which means, what do you mean by feedback inhibition is that when sufficient amount of tryptophan is already present, the genes which are going to encode for tryptophan, which are going to contribute in tryptophan biosynthesis, these genes will not be allowed to be produced. So that is called as feedback inhibition of tryptophan operon. So this was about the tryptophan operon and its regulation. So now let us just do a comparative analysis of my inducible operon and repressible operon. Within inducible operon, we had studied the lac operon, and within the repressible operon, we had studied the tryptophan operon. So let us just do a comparison between the two. So my inducible operon or the lac operon, it is going to encode for your enzymes that will be involved in your metabolic pathway, or for any pathway that is going to help in metabolism or catabolism, we can say for that. And while my repressible operon contains genes that encode for enzymes that are involved in biosynthetic pathway. So here the enzymes were contributing in the synthesis of tryptophan, while here the enzymes were contributing in the metabolism of lactose. So this was the first differentiation point. Second, the expression of the genes in lac operon, it is under control by the substrate of the pathway. So the substrate of my pathway over here was the lactose in the form of allolactose. So lactose was acting as the controller. The lactose is going to control the expression of the genes. On the other hand, over here, the expression of the genes in repressible operon, tryptophan operon, is controlled by the end product of the pathway, that is the tryptophan. If tryptophan is sufficiently present, then the genes will not be allowed to get expressed. So here the substrate controls the expression of the genes, and here the product controls the expression of the genes. Third differentiation point, so here the lactose in the form of its isomer allolactose acts as an inducer for lactose operon. So it is going to help in the expression of lactose operon. So if allolactose is there, the lactose operon is going to work. Tryptophan on the other hand acts as a co-repressor. Means when tryptophan is present, it is going to act as a repressor and is not going to allow the functioning of tryptophan operon. So lactose over here acts as an inducer, while the tryptophan over here acts as a repressor. So these are a few differences between the lactose operon and tryptophan operon within the two major categories, that is inducible operon and repressible operons. So you all need to remember what exactly is an operon, how does an operon function, and you have to remember these two types of operons, that is lactose operon and tryptophan operon, because there are a good amount of questions that are asked on both the types of operons. So for now, thank you. And if you all have any queries, you all can mail me directly on this particular email. And please do like my video if you all have understood my topic and have tried to cover good important things. And please subscribe to my channel as well.